Okay, we've done rock, paper, scissors with the tic-tac-toe. You know what's left? We gotta do chess. So, can we really do chess with propositional logic? Yes, we can. So we have a more complicated board, right? And by complicated, I don't really mean complex. What I mean is it's just got a lot more pieces. Okay. So we have an 8 by 8 array, and each one of those could have a blank, okay? Or we could have one of the pieces. So for example, we might have propositions that look like this. There is a black knight, and there is a black knight at position. It's kind of traditional to give them letters as well as numbers. So why don't we do that? Let's say that is a D4, okay? And at what time? It's actually a little difficult because chess could go on forever. The longest game of chess that's ever been played is somewhat less than 300 moves. So let's make this. Let's just be gross and let's say that it's 1,000. So I want this to be a time 12. So let me write it like this: 0012. I'm making sure that this is always 4 digits. I can go up to 1,000. I don't really mean to go any higher than that, so that's more than enough. Okay. All right. So we have a way of describing the board. Okay. Now the other thing that we did, each time we kind of put some constraints on our description. And the reason for that is that we have all these propositions, and they could be true or false, and not all values of true and false are actually valid. So for example, we may say something like this: bk d4 at time 0012, and we'll have the white bishop at d4 0012. This cannot be true at the same time because you can't have two pieces in the same square at the same time. So we would say that, and of course there's a whole host of others, right? So we describe what a board is. We get some legal configurations. Okay. It's actually kind of difficult to describe all of the legal boards. For example, we may want to say something simple like there's only one black knight. The problem is that there's two black knights, right? So we might have a more complicated set of expressions that say there are 0, 1, or 2 black knights on the board, but there can't be 3. And we'd be wrong because according to the rules of chess, you can actually, typically you queen a pawn when you reach the opposing row, but you could choose a knight if you wanted to. So you could actually have 3 or, God help us, 10 knights at most. So no, we can't do that. Okay. What actually makes sense is to describe simply legal evolution. Okay. So we start with a legal configuration at the beginning, right? The initial configuration, and then we describe how that configuration evolves over time. So we'll have the initial board. Okay, and that's going to say that the pawns are all arranged in this particular row. That the king is in this location, the queen starts in this location. You got your bishops, you have your knights, you have your rooks, and so on. So that's the initial board configuration. Then we play the opening sequence, and so now that's all about the legal evolution of the board. If I'm here, what can happen? And the rules will tell us, for example, what the moves are, right? So let's say that I have a black knight at position, I'm making this up, so let's say that you're at c5 at some time, like 12, okay? So I could move the black knight as long as, I'm going to say that is empty. Let's see, c5, so I could go de6. So let's go to e6. 0012, okay, at that time, and then at time 13, the black knight has moved to e6, and there would be a whole host of other rules saying that nothing else has changed. Okay, so that's one possibility. Okay, there's a lot of other possibilities to consider. This is the legal evolution. It's actually even trickier than that because, for example, that Black Knight may have been preventing the White Bishop from attacking our king, the Black King. So we would actually not be able to do that. So some of the rules actually have to take into account things like, oh, and making that move does not leave the king in check. So it's complicated, but it's describable, right? I mean, there's just a lot of rules, a lot of things that we would have to take care of. The reason that we do the legal evolution is that it's actually too complicated. It might even be impossible to completely describe the legal boards in chess. So instead, we just start from the first one that's legal and say anything that evolves from that is legal. Okay, so that would be our approach there. Okay, so we have that, and now we have to have some kind of description for the winner. Okay. Okay, and the winner, well, you know, the king is in check. We already kind of used that before. We will have to add the notion of mate, so that the king can actually get out of check. That's something that we can describe, so we could do that. Okay. Of course, we have to force moves. Okay, so that no player can say, "Oh, and actually, board's looking really bad for me, so I'm not going to move on this turn." You can't do that. So we could do all that using propositional logic. How many rules do I end up with? I can't even estimate. Okay, it's just a very, very complicated scenario. But I just want you to be able to kind of follow me on this garden path. Do you believe that this is doable in principle? Yeah, and I hope that you do.